Britain and good food are two things that are not associated. Most people seem to agree that the food is terrible in Britain because it has very little taste at all. For example, we can see the vegetables are often overcooked or too bland. Furthermore, they eat the food cooked in an institution, such as university canteen or in another cheaper restaurant or cafe. They don't use much time to cook themselves at home. And typically British cooking involves a lot of roasting. Here is the eating habits and attitudes. The eating habit for Britain is very simple, not oriented to food. The visitor who comes to Britain often say that in Britain we have a restaurant culture or cafe societies. It means that they eat up quickly, go there for relations and conversation, sometimes any caffeine. They don't focus so much on the quality of food. About the preparing at home, they give relatively little attention. Almost is a fast meal. And supermarket sell instant coffee or the cold or instant meat. Buffalo meals tend to be eaten quickly. As the last is from the second half of the 20th century, people realized the important role of the healthy food, and then there has been anticipated boarding school deliberately given rather than food to eat. About the eating culture, a large number of people like to eat out, and many dishes has non-English names. Most commonly is French, and the drink you can see the fast food, maybe the potato fry, bread. Furthermore, most of the drink Britain often used is cafe or beer. So let's present. Now continue with the alcohol. The first, the British attitude to alcohol in Britain and agreement. On the one hand, it's expect analyze an interactively root part of the national culture. On the other hand, the parents' traditional has led to the with assumption that drink is something dangerous, which should therefore be restricted. The people cannot be served or drink and any kind of alcohol in the past until the age of 18. Like alcohol, especially beer, remain an important part of the lives of many people. The occasional trip across the channel sorry the purple buying cheaper and wider in France and Belgium is such as the regular part of many people. Calendar that is heading to the well-known colloquial Cornish Buddhist. So that is biggest alcohol brands. Here is the Stella Artois. That is smiles, and Budweiser and Jack Daniels. The number 5 pub, the British pub is unique. This is not just because it's different in our character from bars or cafe in other countries, but it is also because it's different from any other public place in Britain itself, with the population would be less social country. Pubs have become a bit less distinctive in the last 30 years. They used to sell almost nothing but beer and spirits, and only thing to eat you could get were beers, snacks, some peanuts and squid. This day you can get wine, coffee, and hot food, most of them as well. This has to rather disappear. The person who runs a pub is referred to the escalator. The latter is employed by the company as its manager, but the word is ill because it's every time when on pubs where privately owned is when Cheryl put the fire back on the light. This is London's best pub. The first is the Red Lion, and the second is Heart. The Heart in a second contender for the best pub in central London. The nice hit the London has banned the use of Modi in his pub. That is 7 star. And the last is this is the Wellrock Arms. This pub has been legendary for its amazing beer selections. This is presentations now.
Hello everyone, I'm Hương, and now I will bring you about the sport expedition. The first is the public sport. The public sport is the picture in the area building that organized competitive games carrying many psychological benefits. The game appeared and developed the British team of airline. Modern sport in Britain is very different now. The public sport attitude to sport and this enthusiasm for the simply taking part has had a lasting influence on the nature and rule of sport in Britain today. The next is the national passion. Sport broadly, a small important part in people's life. In Britain, than it does in the whole country. Hundreds of other sports are played, and each group on small but enthusiastic flowing. Some of these men may not be seen as sport at all by most people. For example, blowing, dart, and snook are the games being social pastime, but a few recent company and even as important the actual sporting concern. For example, Wimbledon is not just a tennis tournament, it means a summer fashion. This worldwide enthusiasm has little to do with the standard British sport. About the cricket is definitely not a national sport. British about the number of people playing and watching it. Only the England and a small part of world playing it at the top. Cricket is much more than just a sport. It symbolizes a way of life, a slow and peaceful total way of life. About the football, the full official name of soccer is the association football. There are many ways to call about it in sport, but most people in Britain call it simply football. Football is the national sport in everywhere in Europe. Traditional British football remain following the working class, but the last two decades of 20th century it attracted wider interest. This much wider appeal that has good and bad effect. On the good side, it seems to have reduced the problem of hooliganism. The mid-2080 attendance at British club matches has been falling for several decades because of many old stadiums and several disasters at football matches. And the next we will present for you.
Now I will tell you about rugby. There are two reasons in this game and they are so similar. But the difference between them is a matter of social history. And at the end of 19th century, rugby league split up from rugby union, and its traditional home is among working class of the north of England, and rugby union remained resolutely amateur for most of 20th century. And because of this social origin, rugby league in Britain was seen as a working class sport, while rugby union was for middle class. But rugby union has had some success in the region where it sells to the audience. So rugby union has become less exclusively middle class, and in process it has become more popular worldwide than rugby league. And next year, animal is sport. Traditional favorite sports in Britain, upper class are hunting, shooting, and fishing. Frog hunting, that's what hunting usually means in Britain. And killing birds with young is known as shooting. It's in minority pastime comparatively to higher social class. And the one kind of hunting which is popular among all social classes is fishing. When fishing competitively is called angling. And animal in sport in Britain in other way too. Horse racing so well established that it is often referred to simply as racing. The formula became known as the sport of king in the 17th The chief attraction for wrestling for most people in there is keep provides for gambling, and next is other sport. Hockey, basketball, and Asian games rather are over popular. In general, Britain, spectator and TV region and TV viewer has more interest in team game than individual game. The more popular individual sport as go in with socializing is an important aspect. For example, is tennis, golf, sailing, and snooker. There seem to be two main expressions to this tendency. One is boxing, and the other is motorsport. The last one is gambling. Gambling is where speed widespread throughout all social classes, and every year billions of pounds are bet on horse race. The more popular most of gambling of any kind is national or lottery, which participate in by more than half of adult population. Another popular type of gambling for middle-aged working class women is bingo. Some sections of British society from ground up on gambling, and this approval has always had some influence. For example, in 2005, the government announced plan to allow a number of Las Vegas-style soccer casinos in Britain, but there was so much opposition the plan was abandoned 2 years later. The next I will show you.
Hello everyone, my name is Han. So today I will present about the chapter change. The arts. The first of all, I will tell you about the arts in society. Interest in the arts in Britain is to be largely confined to a small elite. More people visit arts galleries and notice of theatre and culture today than 50 years ago. The next one, you can see this picture on the slide about the characteristic of British arts and letters. And second picture, you can see there is one characteristic of British work in the arts that seems to stand out is like of an education with reader intellectual chance. So about the theatre and the cinema, look at the picture on the slide. You can see the theatre has always been very strong. Britain is central is across London, where several places can sometimes be down correct for years and years. The record records. And moreover, some of the film that Britain the manager to make become highly respected around the world. British films. Nevertheless, films served at the cinema in Britain are overwhelmingly American films. So that's all about the character. So now, someone in my group will present.
I will talk about the music. Listening to music is a very common sophisticated. And moreover was reading is only slightly less popular as a free-time activity listening to music. Over 60% of the population has library cards, and borrowing a book from the library is one of the country's most popular pastimes. In fact, the written was is one form of the art with the British generals comfortable. Britain is the home of the mind scholars middle ground literature. That is midway between serious or high-ground literature and popular fictions. This is written Catherine Coxon and those fierce costs. They were always among the top 5 most borrowed authors from Britain's public libraries. In 2008, the BBC staged the weekly competitions to find the national favorite book. The winners, despite the regulations of the English for anti-literature, was otherwise focused on versus professors. It were libraries of tokens. Nowadays, only one of the top 5 books was set in the list world, and even in this case, this is bright and prejudice of these authors. The biggest project was a great success. Libraries over Britain has to buy multiple copies of the top book to satisfy demand. Sales also went up. We move on the fine arts. Painting is not as widely popular as music in Britain. London is one of the main centers of the rich arts corridors world. And besides the 2 major auction house of besides the 2 major auction house of Sotheby's and British are world famous. And public arts and it is sometimes called seem to have a general public roof. You can see the picture of our Uncle of the North and Goddess of the North. They are the 2 most notable examples both near the city of Newcastle in the northeast of England. One is a 20-meter high figure of the Uncle of the North, who 54-meter wingspan makes it difficult to miss. A little further to the north is an even rise, a work that mimics the ancient British traditional of sculpting in Switzerland. And besides, the goddess of the north is a big wrinkling figure with a breast with a 30-meter high which stretches for more than half a kilometer between the main road and the east coastline lines to Scotland. It is made of the earth and other waste materials that have been taken out of the ground, therefore meaning. And around museums, there are many museums large and small, specialized in London and throughout the rest of the country, usually with an emphasis on history and written heritage. You can see the picture of British Museum and Victoria This is the major museums in London. With the British Museum, they are the national collections of antiquities. And besides the Victoria and Albert Museum, which house the world-class display of decorative art. Most major